Hello class, I'd like to talk about creating Spry menus. Spry is a term that Dreamweaver uses for their pre-built code JavaScript items that you can incorporate into your website. So for example, let's take a drop-down menu. When you move your mouse over it, you see 3 or 4 links pop up. That is usually done with JavaScript, and Dreamweaver will write that for you, and they call that Spry. So the only time you're going to see that is probably going to be within Dreamweaver when you actually use these Spry options. So you're going to see what we'll do is create a simple drop down or pop-up menu, and you can see how that works. It's very easy to do. It's pretty much pre-built for you. So the way that the Spry functions is when you insert it, it's going to write separate JavaScript code for you, but give you a simple way to customize it. So you can find it under Insert Layout Objects, and then you'll see 4 of them here. You'll also see Spry down here at the bottom and some other things related to databases. Now, Spry has options for creating data sets and then regions. For example, if you wanted to put your data into a data set and then have that load into another page, that's kind of what Spry lets you do, sort of loading it from a database type of setup, although it's not an actual database, but it functions like that. And then you have some things related to forms, and then you have those menu items down at the bottom. So let's just look at one for this to see how it works. This is another thing that I'm mentioning to you in Dreamweaver that's pretty cool, but it's not something you're going to use a lot. So I'm going to choose, first thing before I decide to put that in, I need to choose where I want it to go. So I'm going to click inside of my menu here, make sure I'm inside of that by checking my code. So I'm in my menu division tag. And then I'm just going to do an Insert, Layout Objects, and Spry menu bar. Okay, now this pretty much shows you what it's going to be. Horizontal would fit more into this design, this design I've used for my Impala. Vertical would be a menu on the left side of your screen. So let's do horizontal. Let's click OK. Alright, and then first thing I'd want to do is, before I show you, what's happened here, let's test it out. Let's do a file save. Okay, it says it has dependent files, so you do want to go ahead and save those. So let's click OK. And then let's do a file, preview in browser, and we'll do Chrome. And there it is. So it's actually really pretty cool. Drop down menu, there's a double drop down right there. Again, you don't use this type of thing very often, but when you do, this works pretty well, and it should be compatible with all the most recent browsers out there. One thing you'll notice is this little curve at the top does not fit, so this is straight up here. I can fix that pretty easily with my CSS. I'll show you how to do that. Let's talk briefly about customizing this. First thing is you want to change your links around. So for example, item 1, when you click on these down here, if you look at your properties, the way I'm doing this is just select the Spry menu bar, select the first one, and you can select the second one, and then you can change those properties around. Okay, so you may have to double click on that little blue area that says Spry menu bar. Item 1, and then that's the first one that you see. So we would say, let's say that this is models, and you can see that changes that, and then the flyouts from that. So anytime you want to create more flyouts, like item 2 doesn't have any of those drop downs or flyouts, whatever you want to call them. So if you wanted to create one, you would just click item 2, click the plus sign right there. So it has 3 levels, so that now is going to drop down underneath that, and if I wanted another one to pop up beside that when you move your mouse over it, gets a little bit, the usability is affected a little bit when you put too much of this in there, but it gives you that option. So how are you going to customize this particular design? Well, you've got to go to your CSS and then also into the Spry assets to some extent. So if I go check this out, you can see here's the assets that it actually built for me, and you can see that there's some of these images. These control the little arrows, so you'd have to go in there and change those arrows to actually customize it. The rest of it, I believe, I haven't used this a whole lot, but I believe it comes with the CSS. So you'd have to start looking for the CSS for the Spry menu bar horizontal.css, double click on that, and go in there and check out what they've done. So you can see that there was a font size block, background colors. You can probably find that on here somewhere. Okay, so that is really where your customizing is going to come from. So double click on these until you find something that is going to apply. And it may be like outlines, it may be backgrounds for this particular menu. And if you want to customize it, this takes you to, I believe, a help screen that shows you exactly how to customize it. So anyway, there's a lot to it, as far as customizing it, but that's pretty much how you do it. Just look at your CSS, double click on it. You'll find some colors here that you can change around and see if that actually changes anything. Okay, so let me flip through here and see if anything does change that I can see. Looks like I'm changing some fonts colors around there. So that's all I'm affecting right now is the font and the colors. Somewhere in there would be the background, and I'm not sure exactly where that is. You may have to drop down here until you can find it. Okay, so lots of things to look through with that. That's going to write JavaScript code. You can see there's a whole Spry menu bar.javascript. Okay, and the last thing I want to show you here is the position of the menu. So if I preview this really quickly, again, you'll notice that this does not fit quite right here. I'll show you probably the best way to control the positioning of an element like that within a division tag if you want to get really specific with it. So I'll come back to Dreamweaver. Now what I'm going to do is go to my code, and I want to place that menu inside of a separate division tag all to its own. If you look at it right now, it is inside of a division tag already, but that division tag is part of the design of the website, and it has its own properties unique to the design. So you really can't change anything about that particular division tag. If I start to put padding around that division tag, it's going to change the look of the site. So I need to put a separate division tag in there that only pertains to that menu. So to do that, I want to go to my code here, and after the division tag for menu starts up, I'm going to do div ID equals, and I'll just call it menu2, and then you want to close that at the very end of the little pop-up menu, which would be right down here. Okay, and then back to design, and we'll add in a rule for that, new CSS rule. Okay, we want to do ID, and we want to put the hashtag menu2, click OK. And then all you have to do for this one would be the, let's see, I would go to the box and put a little padding in. So if I do left right here, I'll just try 25, click apply, and you can see how that moves that down a little bit. And then you could put a little padding at the top if you wanted to kind of sit that in there a little better. That probably only needs a 2 or 3. The other thing you could also do is resize the division tag to match the height of that menu. Okay, now I'll do a file save and a file preview in browser one more time, and you can see that that menu now fits in there. It doesn't look quite right, obviously, so what you could do is match the colors, the background color with the gray. I don't know if you could do a rounded corner with that with the Spry menu or not. You probably could. Or you could go back to a straight corner right here and just match it up like that. But anyway, that's how you do the Spry menu, drop-down menu that you find in Dreamweaver, built into Dreamweaver under the Layout Objects Spry menu bar, and then that's how you get those nice little drop-downs or pop-outs to the right or underneath the menu. Writes a lot of JavaScript in your code, but it's a good way to get that done if you ever have a site that needs to include a menu like that. So that's it for this tutorial, introducing you to the Spry tools in Dreamweaver and the menu bar.